Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Saturday, February 27th, 2016. Phil here in the Lynn-Life, Walks with Lions is in the Jamie Body Mind. Other teammates are in other dimensions, most of us in the subatomic and most of us in the physical. Our leader Ra is still recovering. We are carrying forward because our soul plans don't say do the work when our leader is well and sit on the sidelines when he's laid up. Our soul plans say to manifest the divine plan right now, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. With that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin. So to continue on up through the reporting chain of the highest concentrations of truth and integrity that each of us are able to connect with right now, each of us for ourselves and for those who are smaller than we are, drawing the channels up and asking, what now? The foundational background statement being, of course, what now in order to manifest the divine plan. The data clearly showing what's needed is to provide a collective restart. What now in order to provide a collective restart? The what now seems to have to do with addressing how the Search for Truth community deals with the inconvenient reality that 5 members of the leadership team were involved in like a plot to murder Ra under the crazy thinking that since Ra is dead, insert each of their 5 names here, should be the new leader, and there's just this one little inconvenient detail that we have to wrap up. Let's go murder Ra.
That's true.
And so we, as the rest of the Search for Truth community now, let's not pretend that didn't just happen. We need to deal with this. What now?
What now?
Each of us have this life experience in front of us, and we can choose to use it as an excuse to not do what we're supposed to be doing right now, or we can use it as motivation to do what we're doing with the attitude of, how can I do this even better, even better, even better? And that's the choice that's here for all of us in every moment. There's always something for each of us to do that we're supposed to do, that our souls are calling us to do, and we have the choice of doing it or any number of other things.
That's true.
In every single moment. And it's the same for us as the Search for Truth community, and this inconvenient reality has been revealed. And should we name the names?
Yeah.
Okay. And so
Asha,
Black Wolf,
Carter,
Jimmy Carter, also previously known as Ratu.
That's true. Ulysses,
and Betty Jean were plotting to murder Ra. And yesterday, Carter and then Asha and then Black Wolf got up and left.
the room of plotters.
The room of plotters.
That's true.
With varying degrees of selfishness involved as to why they left.
That's true.
And now the question is, what now?
What now?
So just show of hands among the other members of the Search for Truth community who would feel comfortable working alone in a solo assignment with any of those plotters as your other companion.
Not picked.
No.
Not Jeff.
No. Not our Luce.
I see a flag from Kosa, not Kosa.
Not previously gleeful Luce.
Oh no, he doesn't want to be anywhere near them.
Any of them. And our Luce is horrified. Just horrified. And I think the overall attitude is one of revulsion.
That's true.
So what do I know? I know that in the end, everyone wears white hats.
That's true.
And what's most important for those 5 plotters is that they begin to work off the bad karma that their actions have added to their records, some of whom already have records that are quite spotted.
Right, that's true.
And that wasn't something good to add to your permanent record, but
No.
you chose to add it, and you can't take it away, but you can overcome it by accruing grace. And how you would accrue grace is to work in one of the projects of the Search for Truth community, but you certainly are not welcome in the Central Search for Truth community effort.
That's
and
true.
You're not welcome in the Thing One Search for Truth effort.
That's true.
Nobody wants to work with you.
No.
You are personas non grata.
That's true.
The Things 1 through gracious 33 probably
Yep, 33.
are available, and you can assign yourself to one of those projects, but we remind you that the numerical order is significant, and game theory would say that working in Thing 2 would accrue more grace than working in Thing 20.
That's true.
So that's what we would recommend to you. Go try to make something happen in Thing 2. And make something happen means get Thing 2 to fulfill her destiny, to live her soul plan, to do what's hers to do in every moment. And there's something that's been in front of her for decades. That she has consistently refused to acknowledge. Actually, many more decades than I would have thought.
That's true.
Interesting. So she's just not been dealing with that all her life.
That's true.
And a lot of the other things, maybe all the other things have fallen away. And now that's about the only thing that she's supposed to be doing.
That's true.
So she should be doing that and nothing else. I'm not exactly clear what that thing is, but it's really very many decades old.
That's true.
So most of her life.
That's true. And it started as a smaller thing of you know, do these other things and also do this thing. And then that thing grew bigger and bigger, and the other things became smaller and smaller, kind of on the menu of what you need to get done today before you go to bed, until eventually it was just do this thing.
And nothing else.
That's true.
And there's really no point in getting up next day if you aren't going to do this thing.
That's true.
Stop getting up and doing other things. Just do this thing. Which, of course, is still undone.
Right. That's true. My perception is that Black Wolf is moving down the Thing 2 pillar in a kind of counterclockwise spiraling
He's looking
motion.
for something.
That's what that is. He's looking for something.
He's looking for something, and he knows it's here somewhere. What do I know? I know that there was the Black Wolf Point.
That's
in
right.
Thing 2. There was the Raw Road and the Black Wolf Point. He's looking for the Black Wolf Point. He's explaining why. He says that was a time when he was really doing good work, and he would like to get back to the vibrations that he had when he was getting to that point that is now named after him.
That's true.
And that's good. Right direction. Keep going.
That's true.
And Asha is kind of following along behind him. She's afraid to be left alone.
Yeah.
I can understand that.
That's true.
Asha has in the past gotten a lot of slack because people perceived her to be such a good person.
Right.
But she just had a reveal that was pretty ugly.
Not so good at all.
Not so good at all, as it turns out. As it turns out, something else.
That's true.
Something else entirely. And now she's enough of a student of the law of cause and effect to understand that something is likely to jump out and bite her, so to speak.
That's true.
And what that is, I don't know, and I'm really glad that we don't have to have anything to do with that.
That's true.
And I see Carter there, and he's trying to chart his own course through Thing 2.
And it's going very, very slowly.
Right.
Tiny, tiny baby steps.
Yeah, here, you're stalled out.
And he's crying a lot.
You're stalled out, just so you know. And now we're going to remove our focus from the three of you because you've created this karma for yourself, and we need to focus on the Central Search for Truth effort and the project known as Thing 1.
That's true.
It does seem as though Kosa is back in the leadership role.
That's true. And running cables.
Running cables. And Dunbar might be in the upper part of the pillar.
That's true. He's higher. And
maybe working with Joseph.
that could be.
you guys are not doing what you're supposed to be doing. You're supposed to be going straight up. This assignment is consistent. Go straight up with the guiding question, how high must we reach to connect with a working divine delivery system? And as you go, to be dumping the lies that should be coming up via the cabling system, dump the lies into the presences of adults who should be taking action to solve the situation.
That's true.
Keep them away from children. Dump them into the presence of adults. And to do this through higher and higher and higher dimensions until we actually can come to a place where there is a working divine delivery system. And everything else is a distraction from that. This assignment isn't going to change. You're supposed to be getting 10 times, the pillar is supposed to be getting 10 times longer every single day, and seeing as how we're absolutely nowhere near that, to at least start with doubling the length every day.
That's true.
The fact that we continually are doing something else starts to hint at something else going on.
That's true.
Joseph's intent is so good. He feels just well-intentioned.
And Dunbar too. I don't feel bad intention in him.
What do I know? I know it's really confusing when misdirection from above starts coming in.
That's true.
And it's an awfully inconvenient reality to have to deal with, that what we would like to think of as God voices, quote unquote, or wise, loving voices, are actually just selfish like everybody else.
That's
and
true.
For the most part also lazy and cowardly like everyone else.
That's true.
And to find our way nonetheless, to continue reaching higher regardless.
And I see how not long ago Joseph was working alone on this assignment of going up, and he was popping his head up through what looked like manhole covers.
Yes.
And for a while he was doing that, and it felt very satisfying. And then he hit a point of where he would pop his head up through the manhole cover, and the smell would be so bad.
He would start to notice what was actually going on.
Right, he was starting to see what was actually going on.
No longer blinded by wishful thinking.
Right, and so while his intention was good, he still has this feeling of, oh, but it's really stinky up there.
It is, and it's awful, but that's because we haven't broken through to where there's a working divine delivery system, and the assignment is to get through this fast, not slowly. And by dragging your feet, you're making this last so much longer than this miserable stage actually needs to last.
That's true.
We're supposed to get through this as fast as possible, 10 times longer every day. Blast through this. Let's get up to where there is once more a working divine delivery system, and then it won't smell like that.
That's true.
Well, let's quickly check the lower reaches. What's going on in the opening down? Merging with the road that's opening down. So who's present? There's an argument. I can feel Paul and the conductor and maybe Glenn.
And Glenn.
And they're arguing.
Yes.
All of them with reasonably, I don't know about reasonably good intent. Well, they're arguing.
That's true.
And they're arguing about the plumb lines. And
that's true, and at least one of the parties to the argument is really staunchly saying, listen, we have to go by the plumb lines. They hang straight down to tell us where to dig. That's how we know where to dig. And someone else involved in the argument is saying something that doesn't feel true.
No.
And it's about, we've hit this weird slanty thing, which means we're supposed to go with this other direction.
Friends, here's when we hit this weird slanty thing, quote unquote, here's what's been going on in the past, is that we are touching a really huge, big, enormous lie, and that lie needs to come out whole in its entirety. And if we just flip our thinking about this huge, enormous lie from something bad to something supremely valuable, then our attitude toward it will change. So consider it something supremely valuable that we want to get out in its entirety, and we want to deliver it all the way up through us onto the desks of adults who should be taking action. And what's valuable about this is the proof that it contains. When we hit these slanting spaces, it's time to stop digging as normal and instead get the equipment in place and just pull this big thing out in its entirety. Does that make sense?
Yes.
This is a great example of ask the wrong question, get the wrong answer, right? What happened is you hit this big slanty thing and the plumb lines are showing, ooh, the way straight down is blocked.
Yes.
And the question you were asking was, well, how should we dig? And that's the wrong question. Stop digging.
That's
Instead,
true.
pull this thing out.
That's true.
Up and out.
Now we've gone away and are arguing about something else, but I see crews getting look like ropes.
Okay, so those people who just want to argue, this is not your right place. You need a reality check. Is
That's
today
true.
thing 33
Today is thing 33.
All right, we're going to screen out everybody who just wants to argue. We want to screen out everyone
Everybody
who's
just wants to
using
argue.
anything as an excuse to not do what the situation calls for. Those who want to argue and those who are clutching to any excuse to do other than what the situation calls for, and to screen them up and out of the thing one search for truth pillar and deposit them to the base of thing 33, who is a child in a situation of active abuse.
That's true.
Because that's a pretty strong reality check.
Oh, yeah.
And it's a test for these big important souls, quote unquote. What are you actually willing to do to help a host presence?